Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sports Time HQ. I am your host, Fernando, and joining me today for the last time this season is my great co-host, Keith. Keith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Fernando. How are you?
Pretty good. It's been a hectic week 15, and we've got Tuesday games this week now.
It's a crazy week. Crazy week. Week 15 is still not over.
No, it's really not. And I thought Roger Goodell and the NFLPA said that they were going to forfeit games and not reschedule any.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, you got to play or that's it, move on. So I don't know. They obviously went back on that one. And yeah, we got games tonight for week 15. And a couple of good games too.
Yeah, we got Washington and Philadelphia, and we got the Seattle Seahawks, your boys, going against the LA Rams.
Yeah, I don't think I'm too optimistic about that, especially with the guys who got out due to COVID as well. So I think the Rams look like they're getting their players back as well for this game. So, that obviously suits them. So I just hope we put up a good fight.
I'm unfortunately going to say that I'm going to be picking the Rams to win this.
Oh, yeah. I've already picked the Rams to win this. You're not on your own.
And it doesn't help that Lockett is unlikely to clear COVID protocols, which means that you're going to be without Lockett as well.
Yeah, I suppose, I would say Russ's main guy. But someone else has got to step up, Freddie Swain or, Gerald Everett in the passing game. So, someone else has got to get them targets.
Yeah, and some fantasy news that just broke out probably within minutes ago is that for Kansas City, Tyreek Hill was placed on the COVID list, and Rashad Fenton, cornerback there, as well as Brian Bell, if I'm correct, or something like that. They're all placed on the COVID list, and they're planning on having more people placed on there. So look out for that. And that's.
It seems like Kansas City is a bit of a mess by what they're saying. Bell is the. If I'm right, I think he's the backup to Kelsey, and Kelsey's already on the COVID list too. So, it's not looking good.
Yeah, another upsetting news is the Lions and the Cardinals. That game. Can you believe that?
I don't know what's going on with the Cardinals. Okay,
might as well put Colt McCoy back in.
Well, that's it. Anybody can get beat, but get beat in the manner that they did is crazy by a team who, it's their only second win. And the Cards are people talking about them going to the Super Bowl. That for me is just you cannot win the Super Bowl if you can't even beat the Lions. So for me, okay, maybe they go on a run and maybe they do win it, but I'm kind of ruling them out. It's you can't be doing that. You can't be losing to the Lions and expect to go on a run.
That was a clear lock that you were going to have the Cardinals winning. I know I had them blowing out the Lions.
Yeah, sure. They were predictions, anybody that was betting money on them, they were the ones you were going to pick first over everyone else, and they were the one that probably busted for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that's really odd, but it's kind of really nice for the Dolphins anyways. Dolphins win their 6th straight. They're now 7-7, and they started the season 1-7, and this is the first time that they've had a 6-game win streak since 2016.
Yeah, and I thought it was quite funny. They kind of made hard work of this game.
Yeah,
against the Jets of all teams, all the
should have been a cakewalk.
Exactly. The rest of the other games that they've, when they've got on the run, they've been, impressive, got good wins, but they kind of made hard work of this and got over the line eventually. The Jets started off well, and then obviously, Miami came on late. But yeah, they're on a run. Tua's got them playing well. Their D has improved as the years gone on.
Miles
Um,
Gaskin killed me.
yeah,
Fantasy wise, I mean, you're facing the 32nd ranked defense, the worst ranked rushing defense, and you barely put up any points.
yeah. I don't know whether it was the whole COVID thing with him, and he still wasn't right, and they were mixing it up too. But Tua's numbers weren't great. I didn't think for fantasy wise there was no one really good. They were missing Waddle too, which was a big miss for them. Parker did okay, but yeah, they got over the line against the Jets, and they keep their run going. And it's interesting to see if they can fight a way into this wild card spot.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that was odd is the Titans. They lost in the final minutes against the Steelers.
That was a weird game. They had that game in their own hands for the majority of the game, and then made crucial mistakes, at the wrong time. And Steelers getting turnovers, and big win for the Steelers because it keeps them in that division.
Yeah, for sure. And the Steelers' playoff hopes are still alive.
Yeah, especially with the Browns losing to the Raiders in the last second with the kick. Bengals now top of that division, but it was crazy. If the Browns had won, they were top of the division. Then they lost, and they were bottom of the division. So it's so tight there. It's still anyone's game. Big game this week though with the Ravens and the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean your Bengals are finally leading the division.
And AFC, whether they can stay there or not, I know Katie's happy with them at the moment. Just that she got to go beat the Ravens this week now to put a bit of a gap there.
At least she can tell you that her team's doing better than yours.
Oh, yeah. Well, for once, because it's usually the other way around.
Yeah, usually. But the Ravens are having problems. They're ending to the games last 2 times, like not last 2 weeks, but 2 times already. Instead of kicking it to tie the game, they end up going for 2 points, and they failed both times in both separate games. What's your call on this? What do you think on this? Do you think this was a good idea, or do you think you have the best kicker in the league? Should you have kicked it?
I would have kicked it and brought it to overtime because I think all the momentum was going with the Ravens. But you gotta kind of praise Harbaugh and the team. They thought they were on a roll. Going for 2 was a gutsy call, especially like we just said about the division being so tight. I think the safe call there is to kick it over, go to overtime, and win it in overtime. That's what I would have done. I mean, if they were winning that division and it was all the way through, and if a loss didn't matter, I was like, yeah, sure, go for the win. You know what I mean? But they needed this to jump back on top. Didn't turn out that way. So, it kind of goes, sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it doesn't when you decide to go for 2 then. But one thing I would say is that Huntley looked great. I thought he played a great game. And if you had him in fantasy this week, he surely helped you win your matchup. He played really well. I was thinking he could be a starter in this league. He looks like a mini Lamar when he runs. Like any team that needs a quarterback. I threw out there the Giants for next season. Might get him on the cheap. Could be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. And now that the Ravens lost this game, they're officially out of the playoffs. They're in the hunt currently.
Yeah, they're all the way back down. That division's just so mad. It's like, well, it's the same like Bengals won. They were out of it completely. Now they're top of the division. It's just changing every week depending on who wins. So I think the Ravens are still good enough. They just have to win this week.
For sure. And another one is the Buccaneers. I mean, what do you think of that game?
What a bad game.
They lost 9-0 against the Saints.
It's like, who had the best fantasy day? The Saints kicker, maybe? That was it? Nobody else really did well?
Hey, I needed Tom Brady to not do good, and that helped me for sure.
That worked too. We got 4 points maybe or something like that. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
But not good for the Bucs though, with the guys that went down. Godwin gone for the year. Evans with the hamstring. He's going to be assessed. They look like they've lost Fournette for the next couple of weeks. So I'd say for fantasy-wise, Godwin definitely gone. I would say Fournette gone too. And then got to see what Evans. So not great for the Bucs, going forward. Hopefully they'll probably do enough to get to the playoffs. And, they'll hopefully get Evans back. They should have Fournette. But fantasy-wise, there's some big guys that they're going to be missing.
Yeah, and Tom Brady, this is the first time he was shut out since week 15 of 2006 when he faced
Yeah,
Miami.
yeah, that's crazy. Like he took his frustrations out on the iPad as well.
I know.
So
He chucked that one.
yeah, somebody's got to go get him a new iPad. But yeah, it was just a bad game of football all around. Saints didn't do a lot. Their D kind of controlled the game really and kept the Bucks on the wraps. I still think if Godwin was out there healthy, he was the main guy. He was getting them up the field before he got injured. I still think they would have got a touchdown in that game. But yeah, that's the way it falls. Terrible game, but a great win for the Saints.
Yeah, great way for the Saints to keep their season alive, and as well as the Raiders and Vikings who kept their season alive last night after they both took dubs on Monday night, anyways. So right now the playoff picture is looking like Kansas City number one. Who would have thought? New England, Tennessee, Cincinnati. Those are the four division leaders in the AFC. Then you have Indianapolis, LA Chargers, and Buffalo Bills. And currently in the hunt, these are all the teams that are currently in the hunt that have not been eliminated yet. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Miami, Cleveland, and Denver, and they're all sitting at 8-6, 7-7. So it's still anyone's game to jump into that in the hunt seed, especially Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, since that whole division is very tight.
Yeah.
And then you go on to the NFC, and Green Bay, Dallas, Tampa Bay, Arizona, division leaders. LA Rams, who played tonight, San Francisco, Minnesota, and they got New Orleans, Washington, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Seattle. Those are the five in the hunt.
You can rule out Atlanta and Seattle right there, by the way. We're in the hunt, but not really.
Yeah.
And Falcons are terrible.
I was gonna mention that. Atlanta, Seattle, they're kind of technically in the hunt. So is Carolina and New York Giants, but we already know they're basically all eliminated.
Yeah, they're toast.
In my opinion, I think it's New Orleans, Washington, and Philadelphia. Those are the remaining three that are in the hunt that still has a good chance.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but that's going to do it. That's the playoff picture. Any odd ones that you think should be in there, should not be in there?
No, the ones that kind of, that have to win, I think, are the Bills this week, going against your boys, the Patriots. I just think if they get another L to their name, they'll be straight out of that, and it's going to be tough to get back in. They still can't stop that run. Last week didn't prove anything else to me, so I would imagine another heavy dose of that for your boys, whether it's Stevenson or Harris or a combination of two this week. But I think they need a win to put down a marker and keep their chances alive of playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Buffalo, who would have thought Buffalo would have been doing this bad coming into the season? I mean, we thought I had Buffalo going to the Super Bowl this season. I had Buffalo and Tampa Bay, and currently it does not look like Buffalo could even make it to the playoffs.
No, it's not looking good. Josh Allen is doing it all on his own. The offensive line's still not good enough. He's doing a lot of running around, making plays happen. And like I said, they can't stop the run. Still, they probably did a better job last week, but they still didn't do too great. So, yeah, I don't know. They need to get it clicking again, like I suppose the start of the season. See what happens this week against your boys. I would expect a response after you've lost to the Colts and you're in Gillette as well. So I think it's going to be a tough one for the Bills.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll have to see, as well as the last two games of Week 15 that played tonight. We'll be talking about these two games after the waiver wires, and we're going to be doing our kind of fantasy picks for tonight's games. This is after waiver wire, though. But we're going to head into the waiver wire once again. It's the last day, 10% off on orders 35 plus on our website, sportstimehq.com, and use code FALL21. I'm rocking a plain old T-shirt, but it's got all our sports that we cover. But anyways, we're going to go on to our waiver wire quarterbacks, and who is one player? What are your players that people really need to get? That way they can get over that hill and make it into the playoffs and continue that road to the championship.
Oh, it's the last one with me on it anyways, and you're starting off the puns.
Of course.
You got to keep consistent. So Taysom Hill, okay, didn't have a great game against the Bucks, but I don't think anyone did. It was really about the Saints D. I think he'll bounce back against Miami this week, who are, like we said, are in good form. They're on the run. They're gone 7-7 now. So I think it might be a bit of a back and forth game. I think you'll see a lot of Taysom Hill, running here, there, everywhere, doing what he does with his gadget plays. And his arm's not too bad as well. He seemed to link up well with Callaway.
Mhm.
the other night against the Bucks. So I think he could be one, if you need him for your semifinals, that could have a decent game in what should be a pretty good game.
Yeah, and you know what? Excuse me, I was going to say Tyreek Hill. Taysom Hill, I mean, he didn't do that great this week, like you said, but his rushing upside still really helps. And his rushing upside really gives him that opportunity to be able to be a fantasy starter for the rest of the season into the playoffs and championship games.
Yeah, no, I think if you've been streaming all along, you're probably still streaming and you haven't just settled on that one quarterback. And I think this guy with the rushing upside could take you to the final.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to go on to my guy, and he's not someone you would expect to be in free agency for fantasy that last season he was one of the top 10, top 5, and that's Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is currently the QB 16, and last season that was not where he was at. But due to the injuries this season with Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, I mean, he doesn't have those weapons this year. But you know what? He's only 58.4% owned. Unfortunately, he scored only 9 points last week, but he's facing the 49ers, who don't have the best defense anymore. And AJ Brown looks to be coming back. And this is the first, like, I don't know. Ryan Tannehill has not thrown for more than one touchdown since week 8, and has only done that twice this season, where he scored more than 2 touchdowns, passed for more than 2 touchdowns. Excuse me.
Yeah, I like the Ryan Tannehill call. I'm streaming in a lot of one quarterback leagues, and it's kind of Taysom Hill, Ryan Tannehill. I'm looking at this week, who to pick. It's just been a bad year for the receivers there with them getting banged up. Really, Julio got banged up again. Looks like he's going to be out. AJ comes back this week now. I don't think he's had any like really top consistent wide receivers that have been there week in week out, and that's kind of hampered why he has only thrown 1 touchdown a game. AJ Brown hopefully comes back this week and goes straight back into the lineup. He will definitely help out Ryan Tannehill. You've also got kind of like the sneaky Russian upside around the goal for Tannehill as well. He's always good enough to, he's good to run in a touchdown for you. So yeah, I like this call this week as well. Play in 49ers, which again should be another good game, I would imagine, back and forth. 2 decent offenses there. So yeah, I like this call too.
All right. I'm glad we're on the same page on quarterbacks. I mean, for your final week this week, anyways. We actually have a question from Karina again, and it's a defensive question. Cowboys defense versus Washington or Bucks defense versus Carolina? I'm going to say Cowboys defense. I mean, Cowboys defense has been phenomenal this year. Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs. I mean, that defense has been phenomenal. I'm picking Cowboys defense over the Bucks defense.
This one's kind of, I think it's tougher, for me than what it is. But I'll side with you with the Cowboys. I do like the Bucks against Carolina because Cam has been very inconsistent when it comes to throwing. It's kind of his rushing upside that's going to save them for fantasy. But the Bucks, again, they've a lot of injuries in their secondary as well. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with the Cowboys at the moment. They are takeaway masters at the moment and scoring lots for fantasy. Yeah, so I think I'll join you with the Cowboys.
Solid. Wow, we're not having any differences this week. What's the matter?
Oh, it's going well. We've only started. We'll see how this goes.
We'll see. Who's your last guy? I mean, I don't think he plays golf, but he's definitely got a last name to do with golf, anyways. Maybe.
So it's Jared Goff, but the only thing is, I've seen he's gone on the COVID list, so we got to be careful. But what can we say? 216 yards, 3 touchdowns. We spoke about it at the top. He just bet the Cardinals.
Yeah.
To be fair to Detroit, they've been in most games every week and they just get beat by a kick or a touchdown. They are a competitive team, and he plays the Falcons next, who are terrible. They're just as bad. So it's probably going to be another game where you throw, they throw, you throw, they throw, and it keeps Goff relevant for fantasy. And he scored 20 points last week, and there's no reason if he plays that he can't do it again against a really bad Falcons team.
Yeah, I mean, this one I'm more iffy. This is more if you're in desperation in need of a quarterback. I mean, obviously, we're gonna look into Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray. I don't know if he's gonna end up on the injury report, because I'm gonna be completely honest, he didn't look 100%. And then you look at Lamar Jackson. Will he be ready? And then we got some other quarterbacks that have just been going back and forth. Even Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I'm still considering him questionable because of his toe injury. I mean,
COVID.
Yeah, Tovid basically. I mean, it keeps going back and forth with his injury. He keeps saying it's getting worse, but he's not doing anything about it. So I want to see what's going to happen with him. But yeah, Jared Goff isn't a bad pick, but it's more of a desperation pick if needed. I wouldn't be picking him up unless I really am in desperate need of a quarterback.
Yeah, I suppose deep leagues, if you need him,
Yeah,
I think he's definitely good to take in this matchup. But again, I suppose you gotta listen to all the news and the reports. He's in COVID protocols now. I don't know if he's vaccinated or not. So if he is, it's just back to
couple.
back,
Yeah.
yeah, negative tests, and he's good. If not, he'll definitely probably miss this game. So you just got to keep up with the news, I suppose.
Yeah, and I have in a deep league, I have him where we have to start two quarterbacks, and in a deep league, it's hard to find two quarterbacks because in super flex leagues, there it's almost impossible. So
Yeah,
like you're never gonna find like a Taylor Huntley or any type of backup quarterback. He's probably taken in that
yeah,
league because of such a deep roster.
yeah. But that's it. There's not much left. The one I think I would say that is nobody is taken probably, but I think he is designated to come back as Sam Darnold, just in case Cam is
Mm.
really is
Cam's
still.
not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
If Cam still plays the way he has been, like it's either going to come down to Cam will stay, and the coach rule he'll get the sack, or
Yep.
to try and bring Sam Darnold in because they keep messing that around. PJ Walker's in, Cam's in. He just doesn't know what he's doing there, Matt Rule. I don't think with the quarterback situation, and also he's not being helped that you know Cam's not being very good, and PJ Walker's not good at all.
I think they draft a quarterback. I think you move on from Sam Donald. PJ Walker is your backup, or you have Sam Donald your backup. Either way, and you get rid of Cam. I'm sorry, but Cam is no longer a starter.
Yeah. I don't know. I do like Cam, but yeah, it's just not going his way. Maybe they bring him back and with a full off season under his belt with the Panthers, and maybe. But it's like I said earlier, it's the Russian upside that's saving the day from really because his arm
Mm-hmm.
has been terrible.
Yep, 100%. Another guy that I want to mention, my last guy anyway, is might be a guy that we've already mentioned many times on the show, and one of my boys, that's Mac Attack. Mac Jones, 19.2 points. He's QB 22. He honestly put up 17 points last week, which is not bad for what he's been putting up in the past weeks. But the reason why I picked him over all the other free agent quarterbacks is because they're going to need to pass the ball. Going to Buffalo this week, Buffalo's already seen almost every single one of your rushing plays, so they're probably going to be ready for your rushing plays. And I don't honestly think that rushing plays are going to work in Buffalo, well in New England, but against Buffalo. And I think you're going to have to pass the ball. And then in the championship week 17, if you have week 17 as your championship, it's Jacksonville. I mean, Urban Meyer's finally gone. We finally have him out the door, kicked his butt out, literally. And then like Miami week 18. I mean, Miami's kind of been hot on a hot streak lately, but I'm not worried about that. But Mac Jones could really put up fantasy points to end the season. And the last 2 weeks, I mean, I'm saying this because even though Aguilar might be out, Harry might be out, Bourne might be out, you got Myers and Olszewski, who are the top two available wide receivers. Aguilar is facing a head injury, Harry's undisclosed injury, and Bourne has a COVID issue. If Bourne isn't vaccinated, he's probably going to be out for this week. If Aguilar isn't ready, Aguilar is going to be out. And then Harry, I'm going to be completely honest, Harry's irrelevant, even though he did make that one great catch towards the end of the game. I really don't think those wide receivers are really needed. I think we'd still win without him. Why, you may say, is Myers. He's not bad. He's not a bad wide receiver. You got Hunter Henry and you got Jonnu Smith. You paid the two tight ends money, and you're not really using Jonnu Smith to his full potential. And Hunter Henry's been an X factor in the end zone.
Yeah, this one I like Mac Jones, but I think I'm iffy on this one with you.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Well, it's just because you said all the guys are out, and then there was three more that they didn't name that are on the COVID list, but we don't know who they are. So I'm taking that, Hunter Henry be out there, Jonnu Smith be out there, Myers be out there. So like you said, probably a heavy dose of them guys. But I think it's going to be, if Harris is back with Stevenson, I think it's going to be run heavy, run up the middle, just try and gash them like they did the first time. I get that, Buffalo are going to be ready for that. And what you should do is like, let's see what Mac can do and make Mac throw and make him make them mistakes. I just don't know if, like, I don't think Buffalo are that good really in the end, to be honest. I still think Bill will stick to his, his plan and his game and say, yeah, let's hand it off, because eventually you'll wear down that D, even if they set up for them. So I'm iffy about this, because if the Bills do stand up and say, okay, Mac throw, we could be in trouble there, especially when he could be missing so many wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand, but I think you have weapons there that even if one or two of those guys are out, I think they can still have a good passing game, especially with the tight ends there.
Yeah, I suppose it's wait and see. I just wouldn't be 100%. I'd rather some of the other guys we talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I understand. I really don't. But anyways, Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones are my two guys. Keith's two guys is Tyreek Hill and Jared Goff. For quarterbacks, let's go on to our wide receivers. And before we go on to our wide receivers, we have another. I said wide receivers, running backs. You know what I meant. It's because I was looking at Karina's message. She has some wide receiver questions. DJ Moore, Josh Reynolds, or T Johnson. That's if she gets him, which means I'm gonna have to try and get him in our league with her, just because she said that, because she's gonna have to replace Godwin. So
I'm gonna Ty Johnson then for Godwin.
That's the only person I was thinking.
You go for it then.
All right, I'm gonna say Josh Reynolds, and the reason why I'm saying Josh Reynolds is because Josh Reynolds hasn't been doing bad in Detroit, and if Jared Goff can continue to connect with him, I think Josh Reynolds can really be a great factor to play in, especially since they already had that connection from LA and then moving it to Detroit. I mean, that connection's still there, and I think Josh Reynolds can really help your fantasy team, as well as DJ Moore. But the problem with DJ Moore is quarterback situation. Who is their quarterback? Is it Sam Darnold, who will throw the ball? Is it Cam Newton, who's going to be a ball hog and run the ball? Or is it going to be PJ Walker, who can also run the ball and doesn't have as strong of an arm? So out of all three of these, I'm going with Josh Reynolds.
It's kind of a tough call, even though DJ Moore sticks out a mile here, but he's up against the Bucs, if I'm not mistaken, which is not exactly a good matchup. I think Cam will find himself on the ground more times. He's the obvious one, but if I'm going to go play for upside, I'll go take Ty Johnson with the no receivers there, go for the big plays. That's what he's kind of known as, but he could end up taking that Godwin role where he's kind of like that, possession receiver, gets the team up the field. He might see a lot of targets. So I'll shoot for him and take the upside there with Johnson. The others, we know what DJ Moore can do. Reynolds, he's been iffy, kind of up and down there. He's had some good weeks, not so great weeks. Johnson hasn't done a lot, obviously, but they're lacking receivers. So I'll take Ty Johnson here.
Interesting. I wasn't expecting to pick Ty Johnson. I actually was expecting to pick DJ Moore.
Well, that's who, the heart's kind of saying I have DJ Moore on a lot of teams. But if I'm going with matchups and I need to win and I need to get the points, I'd rather play Johnson against Carolina than DJ against the Bucs.
Really? Okay. Interesting. So you're going to go for the upside because, they have Tom Brady as well.
Exactly. And I just think he could see a lot of the ball with, they've got no one else really. It's probably going to be a lot of Gronk, I'd imagine, but who knows about AB coming back. So yeah, I'll take Ty Johnson here.
Interesting. I based it off basically the connection that the quarterbacks have had, since Ty Johnson really doesn't have that big of a connection with Tom Brady. It might be a mismatchup with the two, and he might not be able to get as much points as we'd hope he gets.
Yeah, it's fair. Just go get Johnson then, so she doesn't get her.
I could do that. I stole Rashad Penny from her last week.
No, we have to help the people. Karina has to get him.
Yeah. All right. I won't get him. I won't get him just because I'd like to help. I need to face her in the championship anyways. I got to beat her in the championship. Anyways, let's go on to our running backs, and I'll start with mine, and that's Deonta Foreman. Deonta Foreman, 62.9% owned. He's averaging 9.6 points a game. In his last three games, 10.2, 14.2, and 15.5. He's rushed 100 plus yards in the last two of the three games, and he faces San Francisco, who again does not have the greatest defense. So I would not be surprised if Tennessee leans on him again. especially even though AJ Brown might be back this week. I'm not surprised if they lean on Foreman again because Foreman has really taken charge in that lead role in that backfield.
Yeah, we know the Titans are built to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think since Foreman's came in, he's done pretty well. Kind of has that, obviously not as good, but he has that Derrick Henry kind of like, move about him. So yeah, I think it's another good call. Had a good week last week. I picked him up off the waivers in a couple of leagues and put him in. I was pretty happy with his 15-point return. I think
Yeah.
it was. So yeah, I think it's a good call this week. 49ers, they've been a bit hot too. I think they lost to Seattle in the last few weeks. But other than that, they've been pretty good. They've been on a roll, but their D is improving, but not as good as it was, in previous years, especially when they went to the Super Bowl. I think it's all about Debo and George Kittle and the offense there. So I think again, like I said earlier, another good game. But yeah, I like the Foreman call here.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked seeing the stats on Foreman. I mean, Foreman's really been doing great as a running back, especially now that Derrick Henry will be coming back soon. Obviously, he won't be that big of a factor, but as of right now, Foreman is a great RB2 in fantasy leagues.
Yeah, like you said, he's been doing really well. And I was doing some research on him. He's still a young guy, and he's been in and out of the league.
Isn't he like 25, 26 or something?
Yeah, he's only 25. There's still juice left in his legs yet. He hasn't really had a lot of consistent games in recent years. So, he could be on show for a team for next year.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But let's go on to your guy, and we're going to go down to Florida, go down to Tampa Bay, and who's your guy?
I'll double up here if you don't mind real quick, because I seem to have got, something right last week. I may have jinxed a few people's teams because I told people to pick Ronald Jones last week because just in case Leonard Fournette goes down. And what happens? Fournette goes down. And then I told people to pick
imagine that.
I know, imagine. And then I also told them to pick up Samaje Perine for the Bengals. And then Mixon goes down late in the game. So I'm going to stick with the same two because I don't think a lot of people have actually went and picked them up. But these guys could be league winners for you. I don't know about Mixon now. We don't really know. He did get banged up, didn't come back into the game. He still could be iffy, or he could be out there, but they do like to put Perine in on third down. So if Mixon is a bit iffy, he could see more time on the field. And then with Ronald Jones, he's going to be the guy. Bruce Arians says it's Ronald Jones time. He's got to do what Fournette did last season and take them to the playoffs and go win it for them. So these are guys that could help you win your fantasy leagues.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Bruce Arians said it, that what Fournette did towards the end of late last season is what Jones needs to do. And who knows if Jones is going to be that lead guy for the rest of the playoffs. I mean, Fournette, I've been saying that Fournette will be a free agent this year, and I don't think Tampa Bay is going to take him back. And if Jones does what Fournette did last season, Fournette's not going to be back in Tampa Bay next year. I don't think so. His contract's up this year. And Perine, I mean, that was just a phenomenal pick. But I was agreeing with you last week, and I'm agreeing with you again on both picks because Perine is a great backup running back and a good handcuff, especially since Mixon is injury prone. We've known him for injuries. Fournette, he's not so much of an injury prone guy, but now that he went down, who knows if he's going to be able to come back and be that same Fournette top 5 running back of the year.
Yeah, I agree. I suppose wait and see. If the Bucs go on and win it again, they may want to do what they did last year and bring everybody back and give Fournette like 1 or 2 year contract. If they don't, then I can see them saying see you later, Fournette, go find a new team. Exactly, because Keyshawn Vaughn is still there. He still got some work the other night too.
I think Keyshawn Vaughn is going to be a star next year. Not 100% star, but Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn are the 2 running backs next year.
Yeah, he's just got to prove it to Arians. But I think Arians really feels that this is probably their last year of win now and then kind of fix it all out and see what's going on. So it all depends how it plays out, but Ronald Jones definitely the guy from now on.
Yeah, and we'll have to see, is Ronald Jones going to be one of the league winners? I mean, I know Fournette, I think last season he was a league winner for a lot of leagues because he came up late.
Yep.
But yeah. I'm going to go with my last guy, and this is a guy who hasn't even played yet this week, and I still have high hopes for him, and that's Rashad Penny. He's 52.7% owned. He put up 26.8 points 2 weeks ago, and he plays tonight. And I want to see what he's going to do tonight against the Rams defense. The Rams defense is not a bad defense. It's a pretty good defense. So I want to see what he can do against the defense. And if Penny ends up scoring over 15 points, he, again, could be another league winner for running backs because running backs have been just getting hurt left and right, especially with the COVID protocols now and all the COVID issues. I mean, he could be a great running back with the value that he has. So keep an eye out for him. And I want to see if he's going to keep up that high scoring streak against LA this week, especially since Dalvin Cook, they go on to face Chicago next week, and Dalvin Cook just put up 89 rushing yards against them. So if Penny does good this week, expect him to do good again next week.
Yeah, so the Rams D, it's good, but it's not as good as last year's. So I think there's definitely hope there for the Seahawks who like to run the ball and who will. Penny's going to probably be the starter tonight. This is his chance to shine. The big thing with Penny is that he needs to stay healthy. He had, a few bursts, last year, the year before, to show that he is a really good running back. And then obviously, last week, week 14, he was really good. Mm-hmm. So now this week, this is his time to shine tonight. I like the pick. I would say don't expect him to get the same amount of points, but
definitely not 26.
Yeah, but I think he can do okay. I think he can definitely help your fantasy team. So yeah, I like the pick for obviously tonight, and then moving on to Chicago. Another heavy dose of the run game, you would imagine there again. Dalvin Cook, 89 yards. It was a division game. There were, was a lot of fighting, a lot of stuff going on the field. There won't be that against Seattle,
No.
So I think Penny could have a decent game there as well too. So I like this pick. Just the big thing is he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, and that was a big issue when he was drafted. I mean, he was already facing injuries, and then injuries kept coming up. So now that he's healthy, he needs to stay healthy and try to secure that job.
Yep, because who knows what's going to happen after this year? I think he's toast, if not in Seattle.
Exactly. I mean, do you want him back as a Seattle fan?
If he can prove he can stay healthy, I think he's got the talent to be the number one guy, because who knows what's going to happen with Chris Carson. He's got that bad neck injury. Could be looking at, retirement there. Don't want to mess with that. Collins, I don't know if he was brought back. He's kind of been hit and miss this year.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Dallas is still there. Haven't seen a lot from him. So, it's wide open for Penny, I think, if he can just stay healthy.
And I thought really when the draft happened, they drafted Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. I really think Rashad Penny was that better back than Chris Carson.
Yeah, I think that's the way it was meant to be. Injuries.
It just ended up being Carson.
Carson's not bad. I think Carson.
No, but he's injury prone, and that's the problem.
Exactly, and the injury this year has been worse than previous ones, because this could be one that it's his neck. It's going to affect the way he lives, so he could be just done with football.
Yeah, and you can't joke about a neck injury because you could be paralyzed too, depending on what the next injury leads up to.
Exactly. So, we'll have to see how that plays out.
So that's going to do it for our running backs. Deontay Foreman, Rashad Penny are my two guys. Ron Jones and Samaje Perine is Keith guys. And those are two guys that you need. These are all four guys that you need to own, because all four of them could still be league winners this season. But we have another question from Karina. So Duke Johnson, are we dealing with the same Adrian Peterson type of situation? Duke Johnson scored 25.7 points for Miami last week against the Jets. He had 22 rushing attempts for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. You think he does that again, or is this just another situation where Myles Gaskins is still the lead guy and it was just a breakout week for the backup?
Yeah, I wouldn't be getting carried away. It was also against the Jets. So,
they're 32nd ranked defense.
Yeah, take that for what it is. Look, the Miami backfield's a bit of a mess. Like, it's Gaskin. Now you got to have Duke Johnson there as well. You also have Lindsay, I think.
And Salvin
Ahmed. I mean, Malcolm Brown is there.
Yep.
I think it's going to be like Johnson had the hot hand, so they kept on with him. You know what I mean? Like you said earlier, Gaskin didn't do a lot, but if Gaskin starts off and he's really good, they lean on Gaskin. Now Johnson's kind of phased into the back. So I wouldn't be getting excited about it. I'd need to see him again, but at this stage in the season, it's kind of too late for that. So if you have him and you're playing him and you're putting in, I think you got to temper your expectations. Great if he goes off and he's the guy again, but he can easily just get you like 2 points and you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was gonna say too, because I don't trust Duke Johnson. We've never really seen him. Like, he's had those games where he does phenomenal, but that's just a 1 week stint where he just ends up doing 2 points, 3 points, 4 points following weeks. So I see Duke Johnson as another situation where he's just one of those random running backs of the week that breaks out but won't break out again.
Yeah, and it's like if this was halfway through the season, I would
Then there's
say,
hope.
yeah, I would say don't play him this week. Watch if he does it again, then he's in there. He's the guy. But we can't do that now, so I would just say, nah. It's too hard to tell.
Also because he also faced the Jets, so you can't really keep that as a statistic because he faced the Jets.
Yeah, it's they're not exactly a good grade to say
No,
like,
terrible.
oh yeah, he's gonna do it again. It's not how it works.
Yeah, so both of us are gonna say that's a no for Duke Johnson.
Yep, exactly.
So let's go on to our wide receivers this time, and let's go with you. And this is a guy who actually another one that you hit on from last week.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with him again with Gabriel Davis purely because it's like what we do all season. You got to get over 70%. I didn't expect him to get over 70%, but he had a great game. I mean, what did he get? 7 targets, 5 receptions.
Something like that. I mean, he did phenomenal.
He did so good. I mean, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. The guy was he was Allen's guy when it came up to the red zone. He took over that Emmanuel Sanders role, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
I think this week against the Pats, the Bills are out for revenge. I mean, they're gonna have to throw and try and get the win against these against your Patriots, against a good D, to be fair. But the Colts kind of wore them down last week a bit. I don't know if the Bills can do that in their running game. I think it's going to be all Allen trying to throw for it. So I think Davis, I don't think he'll have the same fantasy day, but I think he can have a decent day. I still think he can get another touchdown and be pretty good in that flex.
For all you fantasy owners, this is a wide receiver that you need to own. This man put up 3 games in a row over double digits. He scored 11 points against New England, 15.3 points against Tampa Bay, 25.5 points against Carolina, and he scored a touchdown in all 3 of those games. And like you said, he scored 2 last week. I'm not surprised if Gabe Davis finds the end zone against New England again.
Yeah, I mean, he's got at least 1 touchdown the last 3 games. He's just been great. I thought he'd be their breakout guy this season. Looks like he's going to break out maybe later on when most of fantasy is over. But it's definitely a guy you'd need to put in now, I think, in your flex, or go get him off the waivers and put him in. But also keep an eye on him for next year, because I think he's a sneaky pick.
And if you need a wide receiver now, especially in redraft leagues or even dynasties, I mean, dynasties, you might not see him, but redraft, he's only 12% owned. 12.
I know.
So it's not like he's like almost 67, 68, 69%. No, he's 12. So in deep leagues, he might most likely may be still available.
Yep. So go get him.
Go get him. And another guy you should go get due to the injury situation is Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers, Karina's going to love hearing this. Jacoby Myers is 60.4% owned, so he's still up there. He may not be available in your leagues, but this man's wide receiver 37. He's still averaging 11 points. Like, that's the floor that he's been putting up each and every week. 11.3 points last week. I was just so close, just so a little bit off. I said he was going to expect him to put up 13, but I wasn't that far off at the same time. He had 12 targets, 6 receptions, 44 yards. He also did rush that one time for 9 yards. He's going to have to step up again this week, especially if one or even all of Aguilar, Harry, Bourne, maybe even other people can't suit up this week against Buffalo. This is a wide receiver that may be the week that he breaks out and puts up over 20 points.
Yeah, I think as a Patriots receiver in fantasy, he's definitely the one to own, most weeks. But this week, with all the guys out, like you said, he's definitely the one to own. I mean, if there's any week that he's going to score high in fantasy, I think it has to be this week. It's going to be Myers, Henry, and they're going to have no choice but to feed Jonnu Smith, I think, more targets with the other guys, if they are out. But I like Myers every week. I mean, I don't care who the matchup is, because you just know what you get off him, like we always say about
Mac Jones likes him.
Exactly, yeah. I think he's his number 1 guy when it comes to just getting them down the field.
Just down the end zone, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It's under Henry when you get down there.
Yeah, literally.
I think this week he could reach that 18 to 20 point mark, because he's just going to see lots of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have Brendan, who is a Buffalo fan, in the chat, and he also did say that next year Gabe Davis is going to be wide receiver too. Just wanted to point that out. which
Oh
is going to be
yeah,
big for Dynasty.
I'm a big fan of him. I like his talent. We just haven't seen enough of him.
He's
Yeah,
cheap too.
that's
You could get him cheap in Dynasty right now.
yeah. His value is going to start going up because I think what Brendan said there is right, and people are going to realize that. So it's probably like now or never to get him unless you're willing to pay up from. But yeah, I think he's going to be a star in this team. We just haven't seen it. Have not seen enough of him. But anytime Allen goes to him, he looks great.
Yeah, for sure. I do like Gabe Davis. I'm actually going to try and pick him up too in leagues now. Now that he's starting that, now that we see his potential, and Jacoby Myers once again. I mean, man's a stud with Mac Jones there. But let's go with your guy. Is he on the Saints or is he on the Browns or where is he?
He's on the line. So we got Amon-Ra St. Brown. So obviously we need to be careful again because we said about Goff on the COVID list,
Mm-hmm.
and they obviously affect him. But he has been great. Last week, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 90 yards, a touchdown. He has seen 11 plus targets the last 3 games. I mean, this guy's having a little mini breakout coming to the end of
Yeah.
for fantasy and whatever. There's still some games left in actual football. But he looks great. He's been playing really good football. He's got the Falcons next, like we were saying earlier. Again, another really good matchup if Goff is there. I really like this guy. I needed this. I was one that I wanted to be proven by when I seen him, coming out of college and all that. I wasn't sold on him. Then the landing spot game came. I didn't really like it being in Detroit, but he is making that his own there. He could be easily their number one receiver. He probably is now. But for years, if that team, gradually gets better under Dan Campbell, probably going to bring in a new quarterback in the next few years. But I think he looks great. And if, Goff is there and they're not playing with some backup, like mediocre backup, I think he's going to have another good week against the Falcons.
Yeah, in dynasty leagues especially, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I saw him as a valuable wide receiver that won't be one of those wide receivers that breaks out his first year, but starts to progress in his first year and looks to have potential in following years. And that's what he's looking like right now. And next year, he could easily be a wide receiver 1. And if Goff isn't there next year and a rookie quarterback, top rookie quarterback's there, I mean, his stock could go up even more.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything you said there. He's an exciting prospect, and I think the Lions got a good one there.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this guy. I think this guy really has potential for the future.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the guy who ends up actually, he used to be on the not New York Giants. He used to be on the New England Patriots, and he is now in Tampa Bay. And he is a guy who has not played in a while, in about 2 months, really. And that's Antonio Brown. And the reason why I'm putting Antonio Brown up here is because of the injuries that Tampa Bay is facing in the offense. I mean, he's 67.1% owned, so he's just on the cusp of 70%. And you got Evans, questionable this week with a strained hamstring. You got Fournette, who's doubtful, but still questionable. But he should be missing 1 to 2 weeks for sure with a hamstring. And you got Godwin, of course, who's out for the season with a torn ACL. He's wide receiver 58 still, even though he hasn't played in 2 months. And the games he has played, he's technically averaging 19.1 points a game in the 5 games. In only the 5 games he's played. But he hasn't played since week 6, and that's going to be the problem. His suspension was lifted, and he's going to have to step up this week. He's the only real guy there besides Rob Gronkowski and Brashad Perriman, who really has had connections with Tom Brady. So I really think that Tom Brady will look for Antonio Brown if Antonio Brown is ready to suit up, and if they do end up suiting him up for the game. If Antonio Brown starts, Antonio Brown could easily be a wide receiver 1 this week.
If he plays, he's a guy that could win you the game because he's a star, let's be honest, and he's going to see a lot of the ball. It's just if he plays. The suspension's lift, but he had that injury going into it anyways. He wasn't going to play either way, so it kind of suited the Bucks. But there was talk the last couple of weeks that he was going to be released, and now they've got no option but to bring him back if he's healthy. So it's more, there's question marks over him. You got to follow the news. But if he does play, he could have a great game, and he could help you win your matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Antonio Brown is under 70% owned really surprises me, but it's more of social type of problems that he has. I mean, COVID, he violated that. Does Bruce Arians really want him to play? Obviously, they need him to play, but will he play him is the question too.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, about whether he does play. I think it's more hope if you have him, or if you
Yeah.
picked him up, that he will play, because he's a great, pickup off the waiver wires. Just sit there if you can afford to. He probably got dropped in a lot of leagues on the bye weeks. I
Yeah.
mean, nobody knew what was going to happen. Suspended injury. So
Hmm.
yeah, go get him if you can afford to. Just sit him there, and if he's going to play this week, you put him in.
Yeah. I mean, he, out of all these people, he stands out as one of the top guys if he does suit up.
Yep, for
So,
sure.
Karina also did want to mention Jacoby scored a fat donut against the Bills last time they played. Here's the thing, though.
It's
It
a
was
weather
the
game.
Yeah, it was a weather game. Obviously, this week actually, it's going to be snowing here in New England.
Well, that's got to. Well, I was going to say that suits you, but it doesn't really. Buffalo snows all the time too.
But yeah, but I don't see really, unless it rains, then maybe they're not going to throw too much in the air. But I really think whether it snows or whether it rains or whether it doesn't even snow at all, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry, they're not going to rely on the run game. They can't rely on the run game because I don't think they're going to be able to win if they rely on the run game. So it's going to force Mac Jones to have to pass the ball, and it's going to lead Jacoby Myers to be having a 20-point game if Aguilar and Bourne do not suit up, or Harry or anyone. Harry is irrelevant to me, anyways. But yeah, that's my thought on that process. But the weather was the problem against the Bills last time.
Yeah, that's nobody did well other than the running backs, really.
Yeah, Mac Jones 2 for 3.
Yeah, exactly. Broke records.
Yeah, honestly. But that's going to do it for our wide receivers. Jacoby Myers, Antonio Brown is my 2 picks. Gabe Davis and Amon-Ra St. Brown is Keith's picks. Now let's go to our tight ends, and let's double up here with the tight ends for you. Let's go with your guys.
So first guy is CJ Usama. I know he hasn't done much recently, but the reason why I picked him is they're playing the Ravens this week. Last time he played the Ravens, he had 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ravens are completely depleted of defensive backs. They've got nobody in there. They're hurting all over the place. So can you repeat that again? Who knows? I think he can. Maybe not 2 touchdowns. Maybe he's good for 1 and 70 yards. But I think he can have a decent day as a streaming tight end. And then the other guy is Jared
Let's
Cook.
see who's we cooking.
Yep, exactly. There you go. You got it in. Again, he's been fancy, or he's been okay. Fairly fancy relative the last few weeks. 7 targets, 3 receptions, 6 fantasy points. It's okay. 4 off the average. But he's seeing 5+ targets in 4 out of the last 5 games, which is pretty good. Donald Parham obviously had that that bad concussion. Glad he's all right, but he's not going to be out there, so you would probably see an uptick in targets for Cook. He's playing the Houston Texans next that are not great at all. So I think he's one that, again, if you're streaming, he's pretty good to put in.
Yeah, CJ Uzama I thought was actually going to be more fantasy relevant this year. Obviously, that didn't turn out to be that way. But it's also because I wasn't expecting Jamar Chase to all of a sudden go into Cincinnati. But Jared Cook is a great pickup, and so is CJ Uzama. Once again, we've talked about the tight ends. Tight ends are really hard to come by this season.
Yeah.
But I mean, these two players are going to be cooking this week. I mean, we got Jared Cook, who is going to be the lead tight end, and we got CJ Uzama, who put up really great numbers against the Ravens. So I think CJ Uzama could definitely repeat that. And Jared Cook, since he's tight end 1 now, he could easily be a fantasy relevant tight end this week.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with my last 2 guys as well, and that's Hunter Renfrow and Foster Moreau. And the reason why and I'll start with Foster Moreau first. The reason why I put Foster Moreau up here is because of Darren Waller. Does Darren Waller come back this week? We don't know. He's questionable. Darren Waller was a top tight end. With the injuries he's facing, who knows if he's going to be back. But you know what? Foster scored 13.5 points last week. He had 9 targets, 7 receptions, 65 yards. He also had 6 targets the week before that. So this is the pick. I'm only picking this pick is if Darren Waller is not playing. If Darren Waller's playing, Foster Moreau should not be on fantasy lineups. He should not be starting. He shouldn't be there. But if you really need a tight end and Darren Waller ends up playing and you don't have Darren Waller either, it's Hunter Henry. The reason why it's Hunter Henry is, again, the injuries. Injuries are there. He's tight end 15. He's averaging 10.9 points. He's only 47.6% owned. 8 targets, 6 receptions, 77 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week. He scored 25.7 points, and he had a 3rd touchdown coming too. But Mac Jones threw it to a defender, which ended up getting picked. So I really think Hunter Henry is a tight end 1 this week, and expect a high-scoring game from him this week against the Bills.
Yeah, like both picks, like you said, Moreau. It's all dependent on Waller, but I think every week, whatever for the past month or so, it's been like Waller's questionable, then doesn't play. Derek Carr definitely likes thrown to the tight end position, so yeah, he's definitely relevant. And Hunter Henry, like I think we said previously, when they get down to that red zone, he is the guy for Mac. So hopefully you're guaranteed another touchdown this week. But again, with the guys, we think the guys are going to be out. With the wide receivers for the Patriots, Henry could end up having a big game. So yeah, I like these picks.
Yeah, and I think I accidentally said Hunter Renfro, which I just enjoy talking about Hunter Renfro.
Oh, you just love Hunter Renfro. That's
yeah, I mean Hunter Renfro's my guy. He didn't do good this week, unfortunately, but hey, you have those bust weeks. But
he's not having one bad week.
Hunter Henry is the tight end that I was referring to, and obviously I did fix that one afterwards. But yeah, he's the guy. He's a guy that has to be on. But that's going to do it for our tight ends. Hunter Henry and Foster Moreau are my two guys, and CJ Uzama and Jared Cook are Keith's two guys. And now let's talk Tuesday night football. Tuesday night football. Who would have thought? We're going to basically go with one quarterback, one running back, two wide receivers, and a defense and a kicker. And we're just gonna be drafting back and forth. Keith, since this is your last show, we're gonna start with you. You're gonna have the number one pick. And who is the number one pick this week?
Are we going in order? So do I have to take quarterback first? I can go anywhere?
Anywhere.
I can go anywhere. So I will take Cooper Kupp.
You stink. I was really hoping you weren't gonna go with him. I'm gonna go DK Metcalf then.
Yep, good pick. I suppose depleted and there's no one else out there.
Yeah.
My pick will be Gibson.
No, why? You're already killing me. I should have taken first overall pick. I'll go with the number one quarterback, and I'll go with Matthew Stafford.
Okay. I like what I have so far, so I will. No,
Don't do it. I know you're going to do it. Don't do it.
I don't want him because his tight end or his quarterback is Garrett Gilbert. Garrett Gilbert is the quarterback for Washington tonight. Yeah. So if you want Terry McLaurin, you can have Terry McLaurin. I will go ahead and take Devontae Smith.
Okay. I need Devonta Smith to actually bust this week. He can't score over 10.10 points. Okay. So I'm going to actually go. I'm going to take the Rams defense.
Take the Rams D. Okay. Did you take what quarterback did you take, by the way?
Matthew Stafford.
You took Stafford. Okay. I'm going to take Hurts.
Okay. Hurts. I figured you would take Hurts. Mm-hmm. All right. And then for running backs, I think it's going to be the Sanders show. I think
Sanders.
Miles Sanders is going to be the guy.
Okay. And then.
So what you need?
I need a defense. I need a defense, a kicker, a tight end, and another running back. Is that right?
Yeah.
I got Gibson. Let's shoot for the stars and go Penny.
Penny?
Yeah, let's take
Penny. I was really going to pick him afterwards. All right. So two running backs. You got two running backs, one quarterback, two wide receivers already. Okay. I'm going to go with Sony Michel. I'm going to go Sony Michel. I think Sony Michel is going to do good here.
Okay. I will take the Eagles defense.
Oh, that's a good pick. I'm going to go with, I think, is it Matt Gay? That's the kicker for the Rams?
Yes, yeah, that's Gay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gay.
Okay. I will take a tight end. I think I'll take Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, that's really the only choice, to be honest with you. All right, and then I'm going to finish up with Gerald Everett. I still have one more. Do I still have one more pick? No, yeah, we still have one more pick. You have.
That's got a kicker, right?
Yeah.
I will take. Jesus, I'm on the Eagles buzz. I'm gonna take.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna take Elliott for the Eagles.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I'm on the Eagles buzz here. Might as well keep it going. I don't like the Seahawks kicker. I think he's bad. Anyways.
And I'm gonna go with my gut with McLaurin. I'm gonna hope that he does something.
Scary Terry.
So our two lineups for right now, we're gonna look at Keith's lineup. Keith looks to be taking Jalen Hurts, Rashad Penny, Antonio Gibson, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Eagles defense, and Jake Elliott for the kicker for the Eagles. It's not a bad lineup.
It's not bad. It's not
You're
bad.
taking all the Eagles, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then for my lineup, we're gonna go with Matthew Stafford, Sony Michel, Miles Sanders, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, Gerald Everett, and then Rams defense and kicker Matt Gay.
So we both had the same. I had a lot of Eagles, but we both went for the same team with the defense and the kicker.
Yeah, I mean, so it seems like we're expecting the Rams and the Eagles to win.
Yeah, pretty much what I think should happen, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Karina would like to know why it is your last show.
Oh, God. It's my last show because I am hopefully flying home back to Ireland at the end of the week for 2 weeks. So I will be missing, I suppose, with everything that's going on and trying to fix, time wise, it will be hard for me to get on the show. So that's why I won't be on for the next couple of weeks. But I'm sure Fernando will have some great guests on, and I'll be back in January, hopefully. Hopefully we have some guests on, but I suppose it's thank you, Fernando, for having me on, this year as first co-host, first gig at doing this. It was good fun.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, I enjoyed it all season, ranting back and forth, especially with the puns and everything. The puns I added towards the middle of the season, that was very good of myself to do. But no, it's been a pleasure having you on. Obviously, we're going to keep going, and we're going to get Michael F. Florio back on. We're going to get the doctor, Mr. Dr. Jesse Morris, back on. Hopefully, maybe even get Eric Moody back on, some other people. But for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be having Coach Craig Sports coming on the show. I'm going to try and get some other people as well to come on the show. I'm going to try and get at least 2 or 3 people to come on, because I think it's going to be good fun to have multiple people on. Maybe we can all bicker about other teams, other playoff hopes. Maybe get a Jets guy, bash him a little bit, say how much the Jets, maybe a New Yorker, I don't know. But anyways, that's going to do it for week 15, episode 19. I mean, can you believe 19 episodes since July?
It's been crazy, but it's been fun, and I suppose I hope everybody wins their fantasy championships. If you've made it this far, let's hope. I know we're in one league. We're fighting to get through this week. Hopefully, we both do. We can see each other in the final.
Yeah, hopefully, so I can beat you.
Yeah, that won't happen. I'm coming for revenge.
Yeah, okay, that's what you hope. You hope for it. Anyways, that's going to do it for our show this week. Once again, my name is Fernando. I am your host of Sports Time HQ. Joined with me, and for the last time this year, is our co-host Keith. You can follow him all over social media at SwampDonkey_90, as well as him and his fiance on Instagram at HuddleUp_NFL. They post daily content. I mean, they just talked about how they upset the Buccaneers, got upset by the Saints, and they talk about every single thing about this week, next week, and the upcoming NFL weeks. So make sure to keep up with that, keep up to date with them. And yeah, that's going to do it. Make sure to go on our website, use code FALL21 last day to order apparel for the 10% discount on orders 35 plus. Once again, it was great having you, Keith, on the show. We're going to see him in January when we come back and have some guest stars. But we'll see you next week at 12 p.m. with Coach Craig Sports and possibly some other guest stars coming on the show for fantasy football.